What's going on, everybody? Back at it with another Clash Royale video. New season just started. I'm already doing pretty decent because of the multipliers that you get. As you can see there, it says 6 times multiplier. You know, that's for reaching Ultimate Champion. I'm sure the higher up you are, the higher the multiplier. I'm not sure if it's only arena specific. But today what I thought I'd be doing is something that I notice a lot of people aren't really good at and are maybe just, aren't too familiar with. The last season was Megadraft, and Megadraft is something that a lot of people tend to avoid, and I feel that it could definitely benefit you if you understand how to play it. So I'm going to play maybe 1, 2, 3 games, something like that, and I'm going to explain how I pick my drafts and what I'm looking for, and maybe that'll help you guys get some wins in Megadraft Challenge. We're going to get right into it. Megadraft definitely was more of a questionable experience in terms of ladder for me last season. I thought it was pretty fun, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think I like it better as a challenge. So he picked the big spell Lightning. All we have left for big spell is Rocket, but some decks don't require that. So I'm just going to go with a safe bet here and maybe choose a Monk. Now, the reason I went with Monk is because of a lot of the other the troops here. So I went with Monk specifically to counter an Archer Queen, because I feel 9 times out of 10, if they get the Lightning first pick, Archer Queen's going to be another card that they're going to choose, because he knows that I don't really have a good counter to it. I kind of missed my my troop choice, so we're just going with the E-Golem. But what you typically want to look for is a win condition. So their win conditions here would be Miner, Giant, Wall Breakers, Drill, and Graveyard. So I'm not sure. He has Log here. I think I'm going to go for Ghost. Ghost is always a solid option in this matchup, just because of a lot of the other cards you want to look for. So Goblins are really relevant. I think they did receive a nerf, actually, but they're still pretty annoying to deal with. Guards as well. Ghost can clean up guards. Ghost actually also counters Drill. So I'm going to go with the big P.E.K.K.A. here, just because I have a feeling he may choose Giant. But now that I have the P.E.K.K.A., he may avoid that. So it was kind of like forcing his hand into something, if that makes sense. So you guys always want to try to counter the win conditions here. So I countered the Drill with the Ghost, and I countered the Giant with the big P.E.K.K.A. So he has Cage. I'm going to go with Flying Machine because he doesn't really have any air counters at the moment, so that'll force an air counter out on his end. I need to go a small spell for his Goblins there and a Fire Spirit, so I'm just going to go Barb Barrel. I kind of feel bad because he's going to have a really quick cycle here, and I did also lose a spot to that Elixir Golem, which is not good. That was just me getting carried away talking. So he does go Prince and Valkyrie, which makes me think he's probably going to go Giant, or else it's just going to be a minor Prince deck. To counter these, I could probably get away with an E-Wiz. E-Wiz synergizes with the P.E.K.K.A. really, really well, because it allows the E-Wiz to stun whatever the P.E.K.K.A. is hitting. So as long as he doesn't go for like the Royal Recruits or something, I should be okay here. So honestly, I don't really want to go for a Rocket because there's no Rocket value. I'm just going to go for Guards to kind of even my cycle out here, and also have a little bit of a counter for his Prince in case my P.E.K.K.A. is not in cycle. So the draft could have definitely been better, and I could have also talked a little bit quicker, but I feel the time limit just goes very quickly. So we're going to get right into it. I feel the really good thing about draft is you know what to expect. So instead of trying to keep track of, what kind of cards they have, what kind of decks they have, you immediately know what to expect. So he goes Musketeer in the back. I'm just going to big P.E.K.K.A. because I don't really have any good play here. And he doesn't really have a solid win condition that can break through my defense. So that was really surprising that he didn't decide to go Miner there. So I'm just going to go Flying Machine behind this because he doesn't have a counter. Take out that Musketeer. Big P.E.K.K.A. will pretty much clear up everything else that he is throwing down. He's just wasting Elixir and cycling, so that's cool. I'm just going to kind of let this play out here. I am going to cycle just so I can get my Monk in cycle here, just in case, for the Prince. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do here. Everything just kind of got cleaned up, so I'm definitely happy with that interaction. Ghost will be a really good pick right here because it's going to clean up the Musketeer before it gets a hit on tower. It actually hit the Monk, so that's not terrible. Valkyrie's back. I can just monk ability and get some good damage here on the tower. And to save my P.E.K.K.A. from some damage, I am going to guards up top, so the Prince targets them, and then my big P.E.K.K.A. can kind of clean everything else up. So he does decide to log, but it's already too late. I am going to Flying Machine middle, and this is kind of why I chose the Flying Machine in this matchup, because he didn't choose any air counters for one, except the lightning there, but now he's down a significant amount of elixir. And I can also play it in the middle of the bridge, so if he decides to play, say, that Goblin Cage, the Flying Machine is just going to target it right away anyway, so it kind of mitigates his entire deck, if I'm being honest. But I'm just going to cycle the Ghost in the back, and I did choke that barrel, which is unfortunate, but I'm not too worried about it. I did get he did let the Barbarian get a hit, which is really bad for him. I am just going to monk ability here. I'm going to prepare to get ready for another push here. And I apologize if you guys hear me sniffling and coughing or something. I'm a little sick at the moment, so I'm going to big P.E.K.K.A. to kind of counter his entire push here. I am going to Barb Barrel to take out that two Musketeers he has over there. I'm going to monk, hopefully. I was trying to get the monk down before his ability, or before the dash anyway. So I have to E-Wiz here to ensure that I don't get a hit. I'm going to Ghost to make sure goblins don't get a hit on tower as well. And now he's kind of forced to respond here. He is going to go Valkyrie, but the Valkyrie is not going to pull my Ghost, so it's really good for us. He is going to have to Goblin Cage here. I might just monk up high to pull the Valkyrie, and it's pretty much just going to pull everything there, so that's really good for us. He did decide to Lightning, so he is going to try to Lightning Cycle me, which is fine. I kind of have an idea of what to expect now, so I'm just gonna cycle P.E.K.K.A. His log is down, which is really good for us. So now we can have our guards back up in the cycle here in one card, which will be really easy to get. His lightning's down, so I can confidently place a good amount of troops behind my P.E.K.K.A. Or not. His lightning was back up and cycled pretty quickly, actually, so that's impressive. I lost track of his cycle there for a minute. So there are the goblins that I was expecting. I am going to place the monk ability at this time. It was a bit early. It got pushed back there from the goblins, which sucks, but it's okay. Honestly, I think I can just kind of go in for a push here because there's a lot of cards on the table for him to deal with. Unfortunately, can't get the monk ability up in time. Ghost will finish off everything there. Flying Machine does lock onto tower. I'm going to try to bait out a lightning. Oh, he just used the lightning. That's huge for us. I'm going to just build up a big push here. It's going to be really hard for him to deal with this, if I'm being honest. I'm just going to throw everything at the at his tower line. Or at the bridge. Honestly, P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam worked for a reason. Yeah, see, I didn't even play that game too well, but I just had a lot of counters to what he had picked. So in this next draft, I'm going to try to explain things a little bit better than I did the first time, while also picking. So the first thing that I always typically look for is going to be your win conditions, like I mentioned. So this one, you have Drill, Goblin Giant, Hog, Wall Breakers. You have a good amount in this one, actually, and I have first pick, which is really good for me. So, oh, this is tough. I'm gonna go Mighty Miner. Mighty Miner is always a solid choice. And the reason I didn't go for a win condition first is because I wanted to see what he was gonna choose. So he has Cannon there and Goblin. So see, now it's gonna be a little bit difficult to play a Hog Rider deck because of that Cannon. So honestly, I might go with the safe option here and go Miner. And then also, I'm going to go Arrows as one of my little spells, just because he did choose Goblins, and he's probably going to use those to try to counter my Miner. The reason I went with Mighty Miner is because, honestly, it just counters a good amount of the cards in this game in general. So there's no one specific reason as to why I chose that. But he did also choose the P.E.K.K.A., which is going to be pretty good for us, because Mighty Miner can help take that out. But I may need to choose something to kind of help my Mighty Miner out. So I am going to go with Recruits, because that just immediately counters the P.E.K.K.A. there. I'm not sure what else to choose from here. It's just kind of difficult. I guess I'll just go with Lightning, so I have my big spell as well in case I need to cycle. And then, you shouldn't worry. You can see my elixir cost is 4.6, but I still have 3 cards to choose from, and that's going to average out my deck pretty easily. So I'm not too worried here. And I do have really good spells to counter his entire deck. So Musketeer and Witch will both die to Lightning. anything left over, say minions, skeletons, or goblins, will die to arrows, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to go bomber here just to maybe possibly build up a push behind my mighty miner. I will also go for... I need some sort of air defense just in case. I guess I could go triple spell. That might not be such a bad idea. So the reason I want the drop there is just because he does have minions, and just in case I don't have arrows in cycle, or I would like to use my arrows for his goblins or something else, I want to have a decent air counter. And honestly, the recruit drop honestly is really solid to counter a lot of different cards in this game. So he doesn't have a big spell. He did not opt in for the rocket. He went lumberjack, so that's not terrible for us. Honestly, I feel like the best option here could probably be a fisherman. It's going to even out my elixir, and it's really good to just kind of mitigate some certain damages if I need to. Like if the P.E.K.K.A is about to get onto my tower, or if the P.E.K.K.A is doing too much damage to my troops, I'll just fisherman and pull him aside. The one thing to watch out for with the fisherman though is that he does have witch, so with that witch I have to be careful not to pull any of his skeletons if he does get a decent push built up here. So I'm just gonna bomber. I will royal drop here just to kill everything. I'm also going to build up a push and kind of force some elixir out on his end. So I am going to arrows that. I'll just let the witch go, but I am going to fisherman because I'm going to have to pull some of those skeletons. He does opt for goblins. They're going to get one hit on my tower. That's okay. Fisherman did end up pulling the one that the tower was targeting, so that's kind of unfortunate on my end, but fisherman will lock onto tower here and get a hit as well. I'm going to cycle miner in the back because I feel like he's going to goblins on the left side to predict. He just opts for a witch again, which that's okay. That's okay with me. I'm not worried. I'm going to bomber in back again, but this time I'm going to try to keep my bomber alive if possible, and I expect the push on the right lane. Even better, he does actually P.E.K.K.A. So I'm just going to Mighty Miner on top of the P.E.K.K.A. It'll take it out. My Mighty Miner will unfortunately die though. I'm just going to arrow the minions. Hopefully recruits get a little bit of damage on that right side tower. He does opt for log on the remaining recruits and my bomber. So good play. It would have definitely done some damage on that tower. So we are slightly down in damage. We're down in damage by about 250 here. So I'm going to try to target that right side tower now and just keep changing up miner position because I'm not worried about a king tower activation. He does go for a musketeer. That's okay. I'm just going to fisherman cycle in the back. See, like that right there is exactly why I chose lightning, because lightning will always go for the more healthy troops. I'll just mighty miner and bomber on top of this to make sure all the goblins die. And now my mighty miner is pretty healthy. I'm going to miner here, see if I can get that fisherman to lock on the tower. That'd be really good for us. I am also just going to drop the mighty miner bomb and... Oh, so it actually killed the minions. That was really good for us. I didn't expect him to minions, but that worked out way better than I intended it. So I'm going to royal delivery on top of his push on the left lane there. It'll take everything out. I will bomber just to get a push going again. He'll probably opt for a log on that lane. But I am going to miner on top of the tower on the right side, so he does have to respond with something. Does with the musketeer. I'm just going to lightning out. He does goblins as well, so that'll pretty much clean everything up along with the cannon. The recruits are going to get one shot on tower though, so that was pretty good for us. He does P.E.K.K.A. That's okay. I'll just kind of get ready. I'm going to mighty miner right behind my recruits because the P.E.K.K.A. is going to need to be taken out as quickly as possible. I will bomber as well, so my P.E.K.K.A. isn't targeting the skeletons. And then I can opt for an arrow on his minions on the right side. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hit any of his goblins though. That's a bit unfortunate. Goblins will go down here. I'm not too worried about that. I am going to royal delivery on top of these two witches. Really good value there on the royal drop. And honestly, at this point, it's just GG. It's just a matter of cycling lightning and miners. I was kind of hoping he was going to place like a musketeer or something on the tower, but he does give me some really good arrow value, and that's going to clean up the game as well. So that, honestly, the first couple challenges in Megadraft are going to be just doing your best to pick the best spell for one and the best win condition if at all possible. So I'm going to get into the last game here. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below if I didn't do a really good job explaining. It's a little bit hard to try to commentate and explain certain things with the really short time limit that you have here. So he opts for first pick arrows. There is big spells, poison, rocket, and lightning. I'm gonna opt probably for the poison in this meta, just because of all the spam-like cards there are here. And I feel like the towers as well, poison will be a good option. It'll kind of help clean up a little bit of the troops. The second card's going to be a bit difficult to choose from, though. I might just opt for a spell and go Barb Barrel, just in case. Barb Barrel is always really solid, especially against the Hogs there. So for the win conditions, it's Royal Hogs. It's going to be the Drill, Golem, RG, Giant. It's going to be Goblin Giant and Ram Rider Loon. There's so many in this one. So honestly, if you get a draft like this, you could go so many different directions with the deck because there are so many different win conditions. So I do have to counter his his E-Drag there, Inferno Dragon. Yeah, I-Drag. Can't English apparently. So I am going to go with the Zappies. And just because I do have Zappies, I may just go with like a really spam heavy deck, especially because he has mini P.E.K.K.A. So I'm going to opt in for the Hogs. Honestly, the reason I'm opting for Hogs is simply because mini P.E.K.K.A. counters a good amount of cards. That thing it's really overpowered. It would counter the RG pretty quickly. It would also counter a Golem, which is, honestly, it's what it's looking like it's going to be here. So it's a good thing I chose Poison because he does opt for a Furnace. I am going to go the Royal Drop again, the Royal Delivery, just to counter anything he may have for me here. Honestly, it's a good counter to the mini P.E.K.K.A. as well as taking the I-Drag out. But I do need to figure out what else I'm going to go here. So honestly, I might just go with a Fire Spirit for cycle. Maybe out-cycle his mini P.E.K.K.A. and that Dark Prince, because Dark Prince and Bomber are going to be really good counters to my Royal Hog. So I may end up choosing two different forms of win condition just to ensure that I'm able to even get onto the tower. So he does go with a lot of splash cards, which that's not bad for me because his only counter really is I-Drag and mini P.E.K.K.A. So honestly, I could even go Ram Rider here. And she's going to help clean up some troops as well. So it's going to be a tough matchup for sure. I kind of want to be a nuisance and choose the Hut just because he has a building as well, but didn't really choose anything decent to counter it. Honestly, I thought he was going to go for a big spell there, but then he wouldn't have had a win condition. So he honestly made the right choice, but now it's going to be tough if it comes down to spell cycling because he only has arrows. So I'm just going to start with the Goblin Hut here and try to lure some elixir out. That's okay. Spear Goblins are basically going to counter his Fire Spirit every time. The only difference is that Fire Spirit comes out a little bit quicker. He does waste the arrows there, which is surprising. And he manages to take out my Hut really quickly, so that's unfortunate. I am going to take a little bit of damage here, I think, from that Fire Spirit. Oh, I didn't actually. That's really good. Okay, I'm just going to poison. Try to cycle. He does opt for the Baby Dragon, and his Furnace is out of cycle, so I'm just going to kind of go in here with the Ram Rider, maybe get a hit on tower, which I did, so that's really good for us. Zappies will kind of get the mini P.E.K.K.A. down to a level that I'm comfortable with here. I do, unfortunately, not have anything really good to counter the Royal Giant at the moment. Zappies do a really good job of shutting it down, thankfully, so not too worried there. But now that Zappies aren't in hand, I have to be really careful from an Inferno Dragon. That's a really big worry of mine at the moment. I do have to opt for a Barb Barrel here, unfortunately. And he does Bomber. This is tough. I might just eat the Bomber. He's probably going to opt in for another Furnace and then go with arrows on my Hut here. That was really questionable Furnace placement because now my Spear Goblins are going to take it out and I don't have to waste the poison on it. So that's really good for us. I'm just going to cycle Ram Rider in the back and put the Hogs in front. He does do the Dark Prince behind the mini P.E.K.K.A., which is really good for him, but he gave me a ton of poison value on the tower there. And the Ram Rider will slow a lot of that down, so that's really good for us. He does opt for his I-Drag, which is very surprising. I can just kind of Royal Delivery on top of all this stuff, and it'll all just kind of die. So that was really surprising to waste that much elixir, knowing that I had Zappies and everything in cycle. So I'm just going to make him waste his furnace here. I will also go with a Ram Rider. The Ram Rider, if you guys didn't know, shoots her little boomerang there, and it makes everything super slow. So it's a really good counter, or at least something to slow down. Say like in this matchup, it's a really good counter to slow down a Royal Giant. So he does opt for the Royal Giant again. I'm just going to cycle back quickly to my hut, and then the Zappies will clean that up along with his Baby Dragon. And all I have to do is poison cycle here, and that's going to be another game in the bag. Zappy does get a hit. It kind of just leaves me to win that game. So honestly, guys, the takeaway from Megadraft, which it's really, really easy as long as you take your time and look at all the cards. So the takeaway, always try to look if there are big spells, and the decent big spells in the meta right now are Lightning, Poison, and Fireball sometimes, depending on the cards. And then you just want to go for the best win condition if possible. As you saw in the last matchup, we had a ton of win conditions, so I wasn't really worried about which one to choose. I could go with pretty much any of them. As you saw, I went with 2 of them in that last matchup there. And then the really last thing to focus on is just countering cards. So as you saw here, I chose Poison because a lot of different cards in that draft were really susceptible to poison damage, like his Furnace, his Bomber, and honestly, his Mini P.E.K.K.A took quite a bit of damage just from being stuck under tower for so long. And also, I chose a spam heavy draft pick there with the Royal Hogs, because Mini P.E.K.K.A can only target one thing at a time, so it makes it really difficult to kill everything all at once. So honestly, guys, Megadraft is really not that difficult. It's all about choosing counters. That's all you want to do. If you choose decent counters, I mean, you honestly have a hard time losing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want and you have any questions or want me to continue the Megadraft to maybe further delve into why I pick what I pick, and why I don't necessarily go with meta decks inside of Megadraft, I can do that in another video and continue this challenge. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.